What's up, everyone? Welcome back for another San Diego Comic-Con 2022 interview. I have the team behind one of my favorite shows out there right now with us, and it is What We Do in the Shadows. Emmy nomination galore, season renewal galore. You deserve it. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Perry.
You are very, very welcome. All right, Paul, I'm coming your way first. When you first got the go-ahead for season 1 of this show, did you have a roadmap for what you wanted the series to look like? And then is there anything about your experience making seasons 1 through 4 that has changed that roadmap since?
No, there was no roadmap beyond the season that we were doing, and there never has been. We sort of use everything we have in our minds at the time on the current season, and then usually end on something that's a cliffhanger and decide we'll figure it out when we come back and start on another season. But everything that's come up has been sort of come up because something happened earlier that we had to deal with, you know.
That process is working for you. Keep it up. So you end season 3. What is the biggest difference between the ideas you had for season 4 and what the season turned out to be?
I think probably just no ideas changed. The difficulty of doing Baby Colin was something that if we'd known beforehand, I think we still would have charged ahead and done it, but we would have had a little more humility about how difficult it was to do that.
Mark, at what point did you find out about Baby Colin? Did you have any idea for where the character could go when you were first told about where season 3 would end for him?
Yeah, Paul mercifully filled me in on what season 4 was going to look like. Around close towards the end, mid-season, I guess. Or no, it actually was after the table read where I die. He then remembered to let me know that I'm not fired. Which was, a couple hours after the table read. But I knew they had something fun planned, so.
It's very fun. It's something that I never could have expected, and I imagine it is a massive production challenge. So, Mark, for you, what is something that has proven to be an incredible creative challenge, but then on the other hand, what is something about a process like that that's surprisingly creatively fulfilling for you?
Well, the challenge definitely was figuring out what Colin Robinson, how he acts at each stage of his development, because throughout the season you see him go through the different stages of development very quickly, and how does Colin respond to that? Not how would I play Colin as an adult, which is kind of, he's annoying and sarcastic and dry. How does that translate into the child? That was a process that I had to go through and figuring out. And then what was fulfilling is just being able, the exact same thing, being able to breathe new life into this character has really been a gift to me. You can get a little tired of sucking energy all the time, and you don't want the character to actually be annoying.
Are you tired of it right now? Or?
No. And so that was fun. Jerks.
You don't get creative opportunities like that very often, and you guys are totally making the most of that. I'm going to throw that question to you too, Matt. So on set, given Laszlo's relationship with Baby Colin, what is something...
Yeah, I've just got to clear something up first.
Let's hear it.
He wasn't in Canada for the whole of the 4th season. He was on his backside. It was difficult, but it was some of the craziest stuff I've ever done. There's some things that I don't know have gone out yet. Has the dog food stuff gone out yet?
Yes, people have seen
stuff like that. I'll never get to do that again, or see anything like that again.
What is the most difficult part of the production process of acting opposite Baby Colin?
Try not to frighten anyone, I think.
Because you have kids on set, right?
Well, there's that, and there's chainsaws on set. There's all kinds of things that,
Yeah, it's a combination of kids and just dangerous water, loose electrical wires, chainsaws, all that stuff. It's would make anyone anxious.
All right, feels show appropriate though. For Laszlo, he's been alive for a real long time, but when someone has the opportunity to raise a child, that could change them forever. So is this the most life-changing thing he has ever been through?
It's the most important thing that he's ever done, I think. Everything up until that point has been for his own, sort of pleasure and for him. And this is the first time, when he's actually spent his days thinking about someone else apart from himself.
Does this kind of confirm the origin of the energy vampire, or is there more to discover there? Is it kind of like a serpent eating its tail type thing?
There's much more to discover, and we will discover it.
Okay.
And we will share it with you and with the viewers
I
at a time that is appropriate.
I look forward to that. I'm okay with preserving some mystery. Harvey, for you, one thing that I have always wondered since day one of this show is, do you ever think that he's going to hit a point where he gets over the idea of needing to become a vampire, and if so, what would it take?
No, I don't think he has gotten to that point. Every time he gets discouraged by seeing how the familiars, like I'm thinking of Benji and like how he never became a vampire and he was hypnotized to forget everything, and seeing how things are not working out the way he planned, he's taking matters into his own hands. And so sometimes you can get what you want, it's just a different route. And so maybe that's going to be the case, or maybe he gives up on it. But I feel like he's never going to want to not want to be a vampire. I think he has like a great backstory of why he wanted to do that. They're so fabulous. They get to wear these beautiful clothes. They live forever. They're young. They feast. They and and they do whatever they want. And so I think he wants to live a life that's carefree like that. So he will always want to be that.
In that case, if he will always still want to be a vampire, how has his dream version of himself being a vampire changed from season 1 to now, given what he's experienced thus far?
He's seen by trial and error what you should do with great power comes great responsibility, or you can just throw it out the window. But he takes from every one of the vampires. I feel like he likes certain elements of each one of them. He admires them for different qualities that they each present, and maybe at the end makes for the ultimate vampire.
I want him to get what he wants.
Yeah,
I want it to happen.
First and foremost, I want Guillermo to be happy, and I think this season, I don't know, Paul, would you agree? It's like he goes down
do you want him to
that.
get what he wants, or do you want him to be happy? That's the question.
Well, that's the question, isn't it? And
Gotcha.
if what you want makes you happy, or will it make you happy? That's the bigger question. So I don't know if getting what you want makes you happy, but will it make you happy to get what you want?
It's like a Rolling Stones song.
So we'll have to see.
Kristen, with your character, I have always wondered, what if there was no one higher than her on the food chain? What if no one was above her on the pay scale? How would she run the Vampiric Council if she had the opportunity to do everything the way she wanted?
Well, I think before these guys joined and usurped her, I think she was doing it very adequately and correct. I think she was very good at her job, so I think she would just keep doing it. But she needs some self-confidence. She should be. I know it was a punishment for her, but I feel like when Nadja got invited to go to the Vampiric Council in London, I was pissed. What? But I don't think the guide would stick up for herself. So she needs to get a little more of a backbone before she could do things better.
Okay.
Great.
I kind of want to see that happen.
What about
too.
those costumes?
But really, when you go into nightclub mode,
That's true. I feel like the
Yeah.
costumes
Pretty
for both
electric.
the guide and Nadja this season in the nightclub, the costume department really did a great job.
Laura Montgomery.
Yeah.
Of having them have this look that was,
Banging.
vampires after dark, if I might.
Yes,
coin a phrase.
and the wigs too. The wig was fun. Our head hair person. What's her name again? Tomorrow. Yeah, she is incredible. She's dealing with wigs, not just for Nadja and myself, but then she's also dealing with wigs for, as we'll see in this episode tomorrow, all these different characters from all these different worlds. And just to keep everybody that works on this show is really talented.
Now who's the energy vampire?
tomorrow's episode is Night Market, right?
I deserve
Yes.
that.
This
I
is coming
did.
out after that, so feel free to spoil that episode, which is incredible.
Thank you. So you've seen it.
Yes, I have seen it, and there's some incredible set design in that. I want to get into that, but because you guys have name dropped a whole bunch of people who work on this show beyond the faces that we see often, if you could name an unsung hero of this production, someone that we don't see or talk about often, but really contributes in a big way that significantly impacts your work, who would you name drop now and why?
Boy, it's so hard to narrow it
Yeah.
down. I would start with our directors, Yana Gorskaya and Kyle Newacek, our main directors. And Yana also has edited the show from the very beginning and also edited the movie. But the two of them bring an extra, I don't know what it is to it, but
It has to be Yana. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, can I say it too? And I don't know their names, but the camera operators are obviously like part of the show. Like they're narrating it for the home viewers, and they're so skilled at it at this point. Like they're always a step ahead and knowing where to be. It's next level. Whatever their names are, I don't know. They look like cameras to me.
They're like family to
There's
us.
like a man behind them.
Is there anything about the process of working with those camera operators that has evolved as you've kind of perfected the process from season 1 to now?
I mean, I feel like it's difficult because they have to pretend to be documentary. They have to know as camera operators what's going to happen in the scene, but they have to pretend that they don't know what's going to happen. And if someone talks, they pan over to that person. They have to make it look like it's happening very spontaneously. And it's a hard thing to do. And there was a learning curve early on in the show where people would go like, oh, I know that guy's going to talk next. I point there, but a documentary would never do that. So it really is a much higher degree of difficulty for our camera operators.
Going back to the night market episode, those are some exceptional sets. Really, all of your sets have a wild amount of detail, but for the night market stuff in particular, can each of you pinpoint like a teeny tiny little detail that maybe isn't highly focused on in a frame, but like really speaks to the environment that you hope people catch?
In the night market, well, Shane Fox, our production designer, did that set, and it was amazing and expensive. It's our most ambitious episode yet. The part I keep thinking about is there's a part in the beginning where they're walking through and there's a woman who's selling bird cages who's also wearing a bird cage over her head, sort of like a helmet. And none of that is stuff that's scripted. In the script they go to a night market, they meet all sorts of supernatural creatures. And then all the various departments, the prosthetics people go like, we could have a little weird shoe shine guy. What if we had this one with the bird cage? So that's really an example of the collaboration that goes on between everyone who works up there. And it just resulted in an episode that's like bigger than anything I think we ever thought we would do.
It's something else. Anyone else have a detail they want to share?
I like the cars that we got to play on, to jump on. They were like classic 70s and late 60s cars that we got to jump and do stunts on and play off of that. And that whole area was really fun. I mean, like falling through the trailer and the upstairs where they were welding. Like it was like sparks and all that. That's life. That's always fun to have on set. Like
you
live.
kick all the ass in that scene. I love it so. Like I know you've done stunts in the show before, but was that the highest bar of stunt work you've done thus far?
That was our biggest stunt, I think, to date. That was and Tig, who's our stunt director, and who's actually directed a couple of episodes. He's great. Like it was a lot. It was like moving parts to everything, and Nandor and Guillermo fighting, and there's real swords involved, and running upstairs and all of that, and flying. And we introduced new skills for Guillermo that he picked up overseas, perhaps with actual stick and all of that. Yeah.
How much have you filled in the blanks in terms of the time that lapses between season 3 and season 4 in terms of what he was up to over there?
Well, that's what's really cool, that since we never see the documentary crew follow them and to go over to London or the UK and watch them do anything, we can say, what was he doing for a year? He met somebody, he picked up some skills, he perfected some of the old skills that he had, and he came back to Staten Island with them. So that's the great part, that we can actually say he might have done that.
One of my absolute favorite things to ask about in general is the value of a good scene partner. And in this show, it feels like it's of the utmost importance given how much you play off of each other and how pitch perfect the comedic timing always is. So can each of you give me an example of a time when a scene partner was just what you needed and helped you bring something out of your own performance that you wouldn't have been able to get to without them?
Fuck, that's a hard one. I mean, I'm not even one of you guys. It is. I'll jump in and say that my favorite scenes in the show is when it has all the characters together in one room, all talking at once. Those are my favorite scenes, and that often when writers pitch an idea, a lot of people say Nandor goes off and does this, Laszlo goes off and does this with some new, different character. I'm always like, it's always better if there's at least two of our regular characters there. You know what I mean? There's something about the chemistry that just makes those scenes great.
Saying that though, sorry.
Yeah, no.
No, all I'm going to say was, I did a scene with Tony, who plays the neighbour, and improvised a bit where I kind of lunged to sort of kiss him, and he didn't know that was going to happen. And the way that he dealt with that was amazing, and it's in there. I think
Yeah, it is in
pretty
there.
much what we did.
And I get to do scenes obviously with Kayvon all the time, and he's the best and great as a scene partner because he's so giving. But it's also nice to go and do scenes with other castmates that we usually don't do scenes. Like this year, we have Kristen and I doing scenes together when she's lusting over Guillermo, which is really fun to play, and it brings a different vibe because it's a different character, obviously. And then Matt and I got to co-parent this season some, and seeing that dynamic between the characters was fun, and the fan base seemed to like that a lot, and ship that.
Also, a lot of it when we're writing is we're thinking of who haven't we seen together yet, which ended up with one of my favorite stories and scenes of the season, which was when Laszlo is psychoanalyzing the guide to figure out what her past is, because I realized we hadn't had many scenes that was just Laszlo and the guide, and it's some of my favorite stuff in the whole season.
Kristen and Mark, how about for you two, a time when a scene partner made all the difference for you?
I don't know how much we can talk about what's coming up and what we haven't revealed yet, but
I say you could talk about everything you want.
there are some interactions I have with, children, and being able to then act off of their energy allowed me then to, I think, hone in on the child character a little better.
Yeah, I will say one of my favorite things about this show, and I'm not going to pick a specific person or scene, but every single person on this show is so good and so funny and so quick and ready to improvise. It is the biggest gift to be able to play on this show with each and every one of the cast.
I would believe it. I feel like a show like this can't be as successful as it is without that particular quality. Before I let you guys go, I'm going to squeeze in one unrelated question for you. I'm sure you've been getting a lot of Blue Beetle questions while you're here, but the main reason I want to ask is because I'm a massive fan of Xolo's, and I've seen him grow over the course of making Cobra Kai, and I'm just so excited to see him headline a big movie like that. So what is it about him on that set that, says to you that he is a really strong number one that's going to make a really unique superhero and also just have a great influence on that gigantic company and production?
Xolo is the perfect Blue Beetle. He is the perfect person to be cast in that. We celebrated his 21st birthday on set. He's the kindest, super talented, and willing to go the extra mile to make the scene work, and it's a great script, and we're excited for next summer.
You had that in your back pocket, didn't you? But he is wonderful. I'm so happy for him. I'm happy for you. Huge congratulations on everything you've accomplished with this show thus far. It brings so much light and joy into my life. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
To
you.
everybody out there, you're obviously binging this show, but just in case, if you're not, you're missing out. Get on it. Go watch What We Do in the Shadows right now.